Imagine you are in the heat of a negotiation. You're laying out your proposal, every word carefully chosen. The stakes are high, deals worth thousands, partnerships on the line. Suddenly, your counterpart interrupts. They dismiss your point mid-sentence, throw in an unexpected demand, or ramp up the pressure with a veiled threat. Your heart races, adrenaline surges, the primal urge kicks in. Push back hard. You raise your voice, argue louder, faster, trying to reclaim the floor. You battle fire with fire, but in that chaos, you appear rattled, desperate. You've let the external storm shatter your inner calm. The average negotiator fights for dominance this way. They clash egos, turning the table into a battlefield. But the Stoic steps into composure. Today, we're unpacking how to handle disruptions in business talks, not with aggression, but through the quiet force of control and rationality. We'll explore why reacting impulsively is a surrender and how restraint becomes your greatest leverage. Drawing from the insights of Zeno and Epictetus, you'll reclaim your poise in high-pressure deals. By the end, you'll hold the tools and mindset to ensure that when others unravel, you stand as the unshakable master of the room. To master Stoicism in negotiations, first grasp the terrain. It's a binary setup. On one side, the frantic interrupter. They're driven by insecurity, fearing any pause as a loss of ground. They cut in not from strength, but from a desperate need to assert control. To them, over-talking equals winning the deal. On the other, the Stoic observer, unmoved by the noise. The observer knows true leverage doesn't shout, it strategizes in silence. When you're derailed, the instinct screams defeat. You feel dismissed, your authority slipping. Reframe this now. Halting isn't weakness, it's a calculated pause. This is weaponized restraint. Think of the negotiation spotlight. You're holding it while presenting. An interruption is their grab for it. If you counterattack, you're both tumbling in disarray, the room witnessing only turmoil. But if you stop sharply the instant they intrude, you shift the dynamic unexpectedly. You cede the floor fully, but on your terms, leaving them exposed in their haste. You compel them to navigate the awkward void solo. This preserves your dignity. As Zeno taught, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, to listen twice as much as we speak. Zeno wasn't advocating passivity. He was highlighting that wielding silence marks superior resolve. History's sharpest negotiators saw unchecked speech as a crack in composure, a drain on self-mastery. Thus, view the disruptor not as an enemy, but as a mirror of unchecked impulses. Before diving into tactics, anchor the intent. Why employ these? If it's just to outmaneuver or embarrass, you've strayed from Stoic ground. You're still ego-bound. These methods aim to safeguard your core equilibrium. Epictetus reminded, we control not others' actions, but our interpretations. If you retort pettily, their chaos dictates yours. Instead, affirm inwardly, I command my responses. So you preserve sovereignty over your mindset. In refusing to be provoked, you claim a triumph beyond the deal, a victory of unwavering poise.
With that mindset in place, let's build the emotional foundation. Why these approaches in negotiations? If your aim is merely to dominate the discussion or outwit your counterpart, you've already drifted from Stoic principles. You're still chained to ego. These strategies serve to shield your inner fortress. Epictetus taught that we can't dictate others' moves, only our own perceptions. If you lash out in frustration, their turbulence commands your state. Whisper to yourself instead, I govern my reactions. Thus, you retain mastery over your essence. When you stay unruffled, you secure a win eclipsing the contract, a conquest of serenity. To grasp Stoicism in business dealings, we must map the interactions landscape. This is the binary frame. One side, the insecure disruptor, volatile, terrified of lulls. To them, a quiet moment in talks is a void begging their input. They interject not from power, but from a frantic quest for affirmation. They equate commandeering the dialogue with sealing the deal. So, on the flip side, the Stoic archetype, the watcher. The watcher remains steady. The watcher grasps that genuine influence doesn't bellow, it murmurs. When derailed in a negotiation, the pitfall is sensing defeat. You believe halting your pitch means yielding. Reframe this swiftly. Pausing isn't capitulation, it's a strategic snare. This is weaponized silence. Picture the dynamics of leverage. As you speak, leverage tilts your way. An interruption? Their frantic bid to seize it. If you retaliate, you both grapple in discord, observers noting only frenzy. But if you cease abruptly the moment they encroach, you achieve the unforeseen. You relinquish the stage wholly, yet while they're fumbling, you isolate them with their own haste. You compel them to bridge the uneasy gap alone. This is the core of dignity. As Stoic philosopher Zeno of Citium proclaimed, we possess 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we ought to listen more than we speak. Zeno wasn't urging us to be submissive. He was underscoring that harnessing silence signifies elevated character. The finest minds throughout history regarded the urge to overspeak as a character flaw, a breach in self-discipline. Hence, perceive the interrupter not as a foe, but as an example of lacking restraint. Before we delve into precise tactics, we must forge the emotional logic bridge. Why wield these methods? If your intent is solely to prevail in the bargain or demean the other party, you've forfeited your Stoic stance. You're enslaved by vanity. The purpose of these approaches isn't to vanquish the counterpart, it's to fortify your internal sanctuary. Epictetus instructed us that we cannot govern others' deeds, only our views of them. If you deploy these tactics to retort sharply or act spitefully, you're permitting their emotional disarray to steer your composure. Instead, declare inwardly, I will master my responses, so I preserve sovereignty over my spirit. When you decline to be unsettled, you attain a victory surpassing the negotiation. You attain the victory of poise. With that bedrock of tranquility and command, let's examine the specific strategies and subtle cues that halt a disruptor without escalation. Strategy 1. Acknowledge their input. Proceed, I'll hold. This tactic is profoundly potent as it leverages the binary frame. The disruptor anticipates pushback. They brace for contention. When you pause instantly and extend an invitation for them to continue, you dissolve the resistance they leaned against. You're conveying, I'm so assured in my position that I can afford your voice now. Observe the phrasing. It's deliberate, courteous, yet the undertone weighs heavy. By adding, I'll hold, you imply the dialogue resumes post their turn, and you'll revisit your stance. You're the composed figure awaiting the outburst's end. You uphold dignity by eschewing the fray. Strategy 2. Kindly complete your idea, then I'll wrap mine. This method invokes fairness and equity, pivotal Stoic virtues. It's firm, without aggression. It spotlights the interruption, sans emotion. Upon interruption, pause, meet their gaze with utter calm, and utter this.
This forges an accord. You permit their speech, but reserve your slot right after. It conveys to them and any witnesses that your thought endures, undimmed. It casts their action as chaotic, yours as orderly and reasoned. Strategy 3. Utter silence. At times, the wisest response is none. This embodies peak weaponized silence. When cut off, halt immediately. No sigh, no eye roll, no diversion. Gaze directly with neutral poise. Wait, let them proceed. Soon, the disruptor senses the absence of opposition. They bear your steady regard. They may falter, meander, or fade. They seek reaction, ire, irritation, concession. Offering naught but a reflection of their unrest often disquiets them. Once they taper, linger one sovereign beat, then resume, as I was stating, picking up precisely where interrupted, as if the intrusion vanished. You regard their eruption as a fleeting shadow on your path, unaltered. This exemplifies supreme restraint. Strategy 4. I'd value your perspective, but are you interjecting because you think I've concluded, or because you'd rather not hear my view? This elevated reply suits persistent offenders or deliberate disrespect. Deliver with authentic inquiry, not mockery. A Stoic trades in verity, not sarcasm. Posing, this compels self-reflection in the disruptor. You elevate the implicit to explicit. Most interrupt habitually, impulse-driven. This query serves as a checkpoint. It urges rational engagement, admitting social breach. Typically, they backpedal. No, I assumed you finished. Carry on. You've restored authority, sans volume. Strategy 5. I'll pause you briefly. I hadn't quite finished. There's a myth that Stoicism equals passivity. It doesn't. It's engaged realism. Occasionally, reality calls for boundaries. If overspoken aggressively, employ a serene, steady tone to draw the line. The term pause is key. It suggests you hold the reins. You're suspending the exchange. By noting, I hadn't quite finished, you state fact. Fact holds no emotion, no blame, merely reality's account. The typical person whines this, hey, I wasn't done. The Stoic delivers with even inflection. It's gravitational assertion. It signals you esteem your words sufficiently to guard them. Strategy 6. You appear quite fervent here. Why not lead and I'll ensue? This variant of gracious yield layers psychological reflection. Labeling them fervent frames their cut-in as emotional overflow. In Stoicism, emotion overriding reason is frailty. By gently noting their zeal, you subtly underscore their lapse while casting yourself as the magnanimous, collected auditor. You exit the contest. You spurn scrambling for scraps. You ascend to observer's vantage. Frequently, granting full floor diminishes their drive. The interruption's allure fades absent resistance. Now, weave this into your routine. Next negotiation disrupted, sense the surge within. Detect the insecure disruptor archetype stirring in you, urging combat, volume. Acknowledge it, then release. Enter the emotional logic bridge. Remind, I'm not here for verbal victories. I'm here to sustain dignity. Select your tactic. Silence, gracious yield. Deliver with ancients' gravitas. Deliver knowing Zeno, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius faced tyrants and trials alike, holding poise. By foregoing airtime battles, you magnetize attention. Listeners heed the sparse speaker with heaviest impact. Pausing amid interruption isn't vanishing. It's awaiting din's ebb for clarity's emergence. The business realm brims with clamor. People dreading voids, stuffing seconds with babble to evade self-reflection. Don't merge with them. Be the antithesis. Be serenity amid turmoil. Recall, the aim transcends halting overtalk. It's ensuring, amid the world's roar, you stay steadfast. That's the Stoic path. That's power's trail. As you navigate your deals, test these strategies, note outcomes. You'll discover respecting your silence prompts the world to honor your words.
If this insight resonates and you seek a circle devoted to wisdom and restraint, subscribe and activate alerts. Comment below with poise to affirm you've absorbed this and pledge to command your responses. Rise firm, stay sovereign, let your restraint echo as potently as your terms.
With that foundation of stillness and authority, let us examine the specific applications and nonverbal cues that stop a disruptor in their tracks. These are not mere tactics, but profound integrations of ancient Stoic wisdom into the fast-paced world of business negotiations, where every word can tip the scales of a deal. We'll explore each one, highlighting the stark contrast between the reactive, anxious approach that often leads to suboptimal outcomes and the Stoic method of calm, deliberate control that fosters long-term success and personal equilibrium. Application 1. Control your emotions and maintain calm. This stands as the foundational pillar of Stoic negotiation, the bedrock upon which all other strategies rest. In the high-stakes arena of business talks, the typical reaction to mounting pressure is all too familiar. Anger bubbles up, arguments intensify, voices rise in a desperate bid to regain footing. This emotional escalation frequently results in impulsive concessions, where you might slash prices too deeply or accept clauses that undermine your position, all driven by the fear of losing the deal entirely. Broken agreements or strained relationships often follow, as the heat of the moment clouds judgment and erodes trust. But the Stoic takes a different path, one of deliberate pause and introspection. Instead of countering with equal heat, the Stoic pauses, takes a deep breath, and truly listens, transforming potential chaos into a moment of crystal-clear clarity. Imagine a scenario where your counterpart suddenly demands aggressive revisions to the contract terms, their tone sharp and insistent. Rather than firing back with defensiveness, you stop speaking mid-sentence if needed. Inhale slowly to center yourself and absorb their words fully without an immediate rebuttal. This simple act prevents those rash choices, such as agreeing to unfavorable terms out of sheer anxiety or the illusion of urgency. In its place, you emerge as the immovable force in the room, a presence that commands respect not through volume, but through unyielding composure, opening unexpected paths to more balanced and beneficial outcomes. The subtext embedded in this approach is profoundly layered. By maintaining silence in the face of provocation, you're signaling an unbreakable composure, a quiet dignity that disarms your counterpart without uttering a single confrontational word. They expect resistance, a clash of wills, but your restraint leaves them exposed, forcing them to confront their own haste. Contrast this sharply with the frantic negotiator who fights fire with fire, appearing desperate and unprofessional, their dignity fraying under the strain. The Stoic, however, wields silence as an impenetrable shield, preserving inner peace even as the external storm of demands and interruptions rages on. Epictetus captures this essence perfectly. It's not the events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments of them. By reframing these interruptions as mere external noise, transitory and ultimately powerless, you safeguard your dignity and subtly shift the power dynamic, turning what could be a setback into a strategic advantage that enhances your negotiating position. This application not only provides immediate relief in tense moments, but empowers you with a sense of mastery. True strength lies in non-reaction, not aggression. Application 2. Focus on what you can control. Here, Stoicism draws a clear, unwavering line between the elements of a negotiation that are beyond your grasp, such as your counterpart's unpredictable delays, outright rejections, or shifting priorities, and those that remain firmly yours to command, like your thorough preparation, measured responses, and personal boundaries. Apply it practically in this manner.
Before stepping into any deal-making session, invest time in comprehensive research on your counterpart's needs and history. Clearly define your walkaway points, the non-negotiable thresholds where you'd rather exit than compromise integrity, and mentally accept that results may unfold in ways you can't foresee. If they intentionally drag out the discussions, perhaps to wear you down or extract concessions, resist the urge to force a hasty resolution. Instead, view this prolongation as a golden opportunity to practice patience, actively seeking areas of common ground that could strengthen the agreement. This mindset cleverly sidesteps the common energy drains, such as spiraling anxiety over potential failure or obsessive rumination on uncontrollable factors, and redirects your focus toward cultivating lasting trust that pays dividends in future collaborations. Experience the profound relief as this twist unveils non-conflict as your authentic leverage, instilling a deep self-assurance even in the most uncertain negotiation arenas. Application 3. Use reason and objectivity for decisions. Stoicism places rationality at its core, championing it as the antidote to emotional biases that so often skew perceptions, ensuring you evaluate deals with a clear mind, free from the distorting influences of fear, greed, or unchecked ambition.
In tangible terms, harness weaponized silence by listening fully without the impulse to snap back defensively, then follow with open-ended questions designed to clarify and illuminate. For instance, rather than diving into aggressive haggling over pricing that could escalate tensions, calmly inquire, "What value do you see in this proposal, and how does it align with your goals?" This technique preserves your calm demeanor while efficiently gathering critical intelligence for more informed, strategic counters. Contemporary leaders like Tim Ferriss exemplify this, drawing on Stoic principles to remain mentally sharp and effective amid the relentless pressures of high-stakes environments. The subtext carries significant weight. You position yourself as the rational anchor amid the turbulence of heated exchanges, starkly contrasting the disruptor's emotional volatility with your unwavering, steady dignity. Where others fall prey to bias, allowing emotions to dictate terms and leading to imbalanced agreements, the Stoic ascends through pure logic, crafting fair pacts grounded in verifiable facts rather than fleeting feelings. This not only builds enduring credibility, but also surprises with the empowerment that arises from such restraint, as silence becomes a tool for deeper insight. Zeno's enduring wisdom seamlessly integrates here. Listening more than speaking fortifies character, reminding us that in negotiations, this twist radically flips conventional expectations. Silence emerges not as a sign of weakness, but as a potent weapon that disarms opponents and informs your next move. Application 4. Build trust and ethics. At the very heart of Stoicism reside the cardinal virtues, wisdom, courage, and integrity, compelling us to pursue honest, transparent dealings that prioritize mutual benefit over manipulative short-term gains that inevitably crumble. Put it into practice through genuine empathy. Actively acknowledge their underlying concerns, articulating something like, "I understand your worries about the risks involved. Let's collaborate on solutions that address them effectively." This subtle shift moves the dialogue from adversarial confrontation to cooperative collaboration, evolving potential rivals into reliable allies who value the relationship. Numerous CEOs who embrace Stoic ethics demonstrate this, leading their organizations with moral clarity that yields not just immediate wins, but sustainable, resilient success across economic cycles. The undertone is both gracious and firm. You're elevating the entire exchange to a higher plane, preserving your dignity while gently illuminating any potential overreach on their part without accusation.
In opposition to the deceitful tactician's inherent fragility, where shortcuts breed suspicion and eventual fallout, the Stoic's unwavering integrity cultivates deep loyalty, significantly reducing the likelihood of post-deal disputes or renegotiations. Epictetus reinforces this core tenet: master your perceptions to attain true freedom, emphasizing that ethical conduct liberates you from the chains of regret. This final application astonishes with its non-aggressive potency, alleviating built-up tension and empowering participants through authentic, meaningful connections that endure. Now, weave these applications together seamlessly. Control emotions to remain calm amid relentless demands. Focus on controllables to build resilient preparation. Employ reason objectively to pose wise queries. Cultivate trust ethically to forge lasting bonds. Each one vividly contrasts the disruptor's inner unrest and reactive turmoil with the Stoic's unyielding strength, harnessing silence and virtue as invisible yet formidable weapons. Sense the liberating release as these practical tools place authority squarely in your hands, the ingenious twist residing in their understated dominance that achieves more than overt force ever could. The timeless voices of Zeno, Epictetus, and Aurelius harmoniously blend ancient philosophical insight with the demands of modern deals, rendering profound depth surprisingly accessible and actionable for anyone willing to apply them. In every interruption or challenge that arises, discern the hidden opportunity for mastery. Weaponized silence casts a spotlight on their impulsive haste, allowing your composed dignity to shine through undimmed. The rich subtexts embedded in thoughtful questions and empathetic acknowledgments add layers of depth to your impact, enabling you to lead the conversation without resorting to coercion or dominance. This comprehensive equipping reshapes negotiations entirely, evolving them from exhausting battles of wills into harmonious, balanced pursuits where all parties can thrive. Non-conflict isn't a form of surrender, it's the pinnacle of supremacy, a revelation that grants profound relief and lasting empowerment, preparing you to navigate any deal with unshakable confidence.
Now, let us integrate this into your daily negotiations. The next time a counterpart interrupts or presses, feel the tension rise within. Sense the insecure disruptor archetype awakening, pushing for conflict, for dominance. Recognize it, honor it, then release it. Step into the emotional logic bridge. Remind yourself, I am not here to conquer egos. I am here to uphold my dignity. Choose your application. Will you control emotions with a deep breath? Focus on controllables through preparation. Use reason to pose an open question. Build trust with empathy. Whatever you select, deliver it with the weight of the ancients. Deliver it with the knowledge that Zeno, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius faced emperors and uncertainties alike, maintaining their composure. When you refuse to battle for leverage impulsively, you become a beacon. People gravitate to the negotiator who speaks sparingly but with profound impact. By pausing when challenged, you are not conceding. You are waiting for the clamor to fade so the value can emerge. The business world is filled with noise. It is full of individuals dreading the silence, cramming every moment with assertions to distract from their doubts. Do not join them. Be the contrast. Be stillness in the negotiation storm. Remember, the goal is not just to counter interruptions. The goal is to ensure that even when deals grow loud, you remain unmoved. That is the Stoic way. That is the path of enduring power. As you move through your week, try these applications. Observe the results. You will find that when you respect your own silence, the world begins to respect your terms.
If you found value in this reflection, and if you wish to join a community dedicated to the pursuit of wisdom and temperance in business, subscribe and turn on notifications. Leave a comment below with the word poise to signal that you have reached the end of this video and that you are committed to mastering your responses. Stand firm, remain sovereign, and let your silence speak as loudly as your deals.